So most veterans I meet want to get back in shape, but not just any shape. They want to feel like a weapon again, strong, fast, and disciplined. So today I'm going to show you exactly how veterans ace the 5 mile run. Just like I helped my brother run a 5 mile in under 35 minutes, even though he wasn't going to ranger school. I'm Dr. Peralta, Marine veteran, physical therapist, run coach, and I'm here to show you how to train like a warrior, not a weekend jogger or a mall walker. So, over the past 10 years, I've helped hundreds of people rehab injuries, rebuild their confidence, and get back to running pain free. It also helped veterans as well. I've personally run, 3 mile, 5 mile, holding a 6 minute per mile pace, right? And I've helped veterans, also of different walks of life, different age groups as well. And my brother, who's in the U.S. Army as well, improved his own fitness, where he was crushing his unit fitness test and all that without like getting injured or breaking their bodies in the process. So what you'll learn in this video, I'm going to walk you through my 5 key strategies to running a faster 5 mile time. Even if you're not in the military currently, maybe you're a veteran, right? You're a veteran who's watching this, and maybe you're over 35 years old, but you still want to prove that you still got it. And whether you're training to relive your glory days or just to pass, fitness just for the heck of it, for fun, with confidence, this plan is for you. So before we dive in, if you want a structured plan on how to train pain-free that helps you build your speed, strength, and endurance, check out my free training link in the description. So why this matters for veterans specifically. So 78% of U.S. veterans are overweight or obese, according to the VA. That means millions of warriors still struggling with their fitness and can't even meet basic running fitness standards, right? Finishing a 5 mile run in under 40 minutes, which is an 8 minute per mile pace, is the bare minimum for Army Ranger School. Yet most veterans today can't even get close to that. Right? They're struggling to hit that in an hour, right? Like a 12 minute per mile pace. But let's change that. I believe veterans deserve more than just a participation trophy. So here's how to train smarter, not harder, and crush your next 5 mile run. So tip number 1, you want to know your baseline fitness, right? If you're currently not active, maybe you're busy working a full-time job, taking care of a family or something, test your fitness. Go out for a 5 mile time trial. This could be done on a treadmill if that's all you have access to, but ideally you do this outdoors, you're out in nature, go on a trail, or you do this on a track, right? Time your 5 mile time trial, and then document it. You could use a pen and paper or stopwatch, or use a GPS. You could use Strava, but watch out for your OPSEC, because you don't want any people knowing where your running routes are. So I used to use Strava a lot, but I'm like, wait a second, people could just see my running route. So make sure you put that on privacy settings, especially if you don't want people learning your running routes. But again, old school pen and paper stopwatch works fine. And retest your based on your fitness. So let's say you're training for the 5 mile run, retest the 5 mile run time trial every 2 or 3 months as your fitness improves. And also test your strength as well. I would recommend that strength training is a big part of improving your fitness, especially trying to run a faster 5 mile run. So for example, if you're a man, or work up to doing a 2 times body weight squat, or for a woman, 1.5 times, barbell back squat. That's 1.5 times your body weight or 2 times your body weight. And there's an old saying, if you're not assessing, you're guessing. So don't train blind. So tip number 2, you want to strength train for speed. So a lot of times people think you just get faster for running by just running more miles, but that's a common misconception. Sure, running does help you with running, but you also want to do strength training. Myself and countless others have improved their running speed by adding strength training to their training plan. And you actually run faster by lifting heavier. Don't be afraid of lifting heavy. So the sport of running itself is 2 to 3 times body weight impact force. It means every time your foot hits the ground, you're getting about 2 to 3 times of joint reaction forces through your body, right? If you're a 150-pound runner, that's 300 to 450 pounds of force going through a single leg. So building up your body's strength and loading capacity can help you bounce back quicker between running workouts, and also help decrease your risk of injury. So what type of workouts you want to focus for strength? Focus on compound lifts, things like squats, deadlifts, lunges, 2 times per week, or even 3 times per week, depending on your training schedule. Single set to failure, right? 8 to 12 rep max. I like full body routines, but you can also split it up, like a heavy upper body day, a lower body day. There's different ways to split it up, but I typically recommend a full body routine. It's more time efficient, and you can do a single set approach. It doesn't take too much of your energy, so you're not zapped from other types of workouts. But don't forget calisthenics as well, especially if you're trying to build up like Army Ranger specific fitness, right? You want to do push-ups, planks, pull-ups, especially if you're trying to, again, train like an Army Ranger, right? You could add your push-ups to your strength training session, right? If you're doing weights or machines, or maybe add the calisthenics as part of your run, or maybe going out for a run in the middle of your run, like a fartlek style run. Maybe you run for a mile, then you do a set of push-ups, and then for running out another mile, do some lunges, or if there's a pull-up bar nearby, or a tree branch, or a traffic light, go jump up and do some pull-ups, right? So different ways to incorporate calisthenics with your strength training or even your running. Tip number 3, you want to do strategic running. You don't have to run every single day of the week. You could actually get pretty fast just running 3 days a week. A lot of times, another misconception is that people think, oh, you have to run every single day of the week to be good at running. We're not talking about being world class or elite runners, but you could actually still run a 6-minute mile, again, running just 3 days a week. I've done it myself. So, key workouts you want to do, quality run workouts. Number 1, you want to do a track repeat or interval style workout. It's going to improve your speed and VO2 max. For example, you may do 12 by quarter mile, 12 by 400 meter repeats at your target pace. But the key is you want to sustain it, right? Because a lot of times people do track workouts, they run the first few way too fast and then they slow down for the other ones. You want to run it, yes, it should be fast, but not so fast that you burn out like in the first third of the workout. You should be able to sustain your interval speed for the entire duration of the intervals. And then as you get faster, you could obviously make the intervals faster. And there's different variations. You could do repeat 800 meters, repeat 1 kilometer, repeat 1 mile. Again, there's different variations of track repeats, but essentially your track repeats should take you about a covered distance of about 3 miles to 5 miles. And yes, they can vary week by week on the style of track repeat workout you do. The other quality workout you want to do is like a tempo run to build up your lactate threshold. For example, you may do a tempo run at 3 to 5 miles at your desired pace. Let's say you want to run a 5 mile at 40 minutes or less, then you do a tempo run at around 40 minutes or less. It doesn't always have to be exactly. Sometimes you may be a bit tired, maybe you're running a little slower, but overall you're kind of hovering around your desired race pace for the 5 mile run. And again, you could vary the distances week by week. Maybe 1 week you do a 3 mile tempo run, another week you do a 5 mile tempo run, or maybe another week you do a 6 mile tempo run. You're just kind of hovering around the 5 mile run. And then for the long run, you typically want to run a bit longer than your 5 mile run. So this might be running 1.5 times to 2 times the length of the run, or even 3 times if you're a very advanced runner. So for example, you might run a long run at 7.5 mile long run, or then another day do a long run at a 10 mile long run. And these long runs are just once a week. And just to clarify, for these 3 quality workouts, it's just 3 days of running a week. Again, 1 track workout, 1 tempo run, and 1 long run. Now back to the long run. So with the long run, you typically would warm up. Maybe the first mile is at a slower pace or easier pace. And then you go into like a zone 2 for the rest of the long run. So most people do the long run at a slower pace than their 5 mile run, which is an aerobic zone 2. But then as you get fitter or you want to experiment or play around variations, you can do a progression long run, which is you split it up. There's different ways to do it, but one way is you split it up into thirds. First third is like easy or slow. Second third of the long run is a bit moderate pace, a little bit faster. And the third segment of the long run is at race pace or even faster. Right? So let's say you're doing a 12 mile long run, 4 miles easy, 4 miles moderate, and the last 4 miles hard or fast. And again, with all styles of run workouts, so you do want to do like a dynamic warm up, spend at least 5 minutes doing dynamic warm up. And things are leg swings, dynamic stretches, lunges, walking lunges, A skips, B skips, butt kicks, high knees, just different ways to warm up fast feet, to warm up the legs and get your body like with a dynamic warm up. Tip number 4, you also want to do cross training, right? 2 times a week, you want to do cross training, especially if you want to train like an Army Ranger, right? You also do rucking, right? So rucking is great for cross training, and rucking could also replace one of your long runs. So if you'd rather do rucking instead of a long run, you could do that. So you could actually substitute one of the long runs for a ruck, because for the Army Ranger, if I recall correctly, it's like a 12-mile long run with 35 pounds of gear to simulate the selection process for the Army Rangers. But if 12 miles with the ruck is too long, that might take you like more than 3 hours, you start with a 6-mile ruck, 6-mile distance for the ruck with like 35 pounds. But if the gear is too heavy, like if the ruck of 35 pounds is too heavy, maybe start with 15 pounds and then work your way up as your fitness improves. And then this is great because rucking is actually a good type of cross training because it improves your aerobic endurance. It mimics the endurance benefit that will help you also with running, spends time on your feet without the extra high impact of running as well. So rucking could be a great option. Another option is just wearing a weighted vest. So you could also do a run workout, or a ruck type of workout with a weighted vest. Again, maybe a 20-pound weighted vest. But another tip, you could also do the weighted vest with a tempo run, which I didn't mention earlier, but just refresh my memory. You could also do, for example, go for a 3 mile run with a weighted vest. You don't do this every single workout, but maybe some workouts, maybe every second or third week, you do like a tempo run with a weighted vest, or even with the ruck, because now you're getting a weighted run workout, which is also going to make you faster. But obviously, don't do this type of workout every single run workout, though. You still want to just train with your own body weight. Then, as far as other cross training workouts you can do to build up your aerobic fitness, you got biking, you got rowing, you got swimming. Swimming is also great for water confidence. And if you're, trying to train to like mimic the demands of Army Ranger selection, they have like a water survival test. Water confidence is very important. So obviously, swimming will be a great thing to add as part of your cross training during the training week. So for cross training, again, that's just 2 times a week, or maybe even 3 times a week, depending on your fitness level. But at least 2 times a week, you're doing some cross training where you're doing exercise outside of running that's aerobic in nature that will help build up your fitness and develop different attributes, right? Like the rucking or swimming. So cross training is also not the same thing as strength training, though. So strength training, cross training builds aerobic endurance. Strength training builds muscular strength and muscular endurance in a different way than cardiovascular endurance, right? So strength training actually also builds max strength. Yeah, strength training helps you with running, but it's a bit of a different goal than cross training. You still want to cross training in addition to strength training, right? So you're still going to strength train 2 days a week, but then you're going to cross train on top of that as well, and in addition to your running. Now, if you're like, Ray, that's way too much time, you're limited on time, at the very least, do the single set of fatigue for strength training. Then with the cross training, you combine on the same day, right? So like 2 days of the week, you're doing the cross training for like maybe 30, 45 minutes of cross training. Maybe you go for a 45-minute ruck with your gear, and then you do strength training right after or before, right? So you can combine it within the same kind of window. Tip number 5, fuel like a warrior, right? So many people don't eat enough food or drink enough fluids to stay hydrated or just fueled up. So for hydration, drink 3 to 4 liters of water daily with electrolytes, depending how much you sweat. Maybe you add a quarter teaspoon or a half teaspoon to let's say you split up your fluid throughout the day. Let's say you're doing you're eating 3 times a day. So each meal you're having like maybe a liter of fluid or water. So to that liter, you'd probably add a quarter teaspoon or a half teaspoon of salt 3 times a day, especially if you're in a hot, humid environment, you're a heavy sweater, maybe you're all salty sweater, you may go up to the half teaspoon, but if you're a very light sweater, maybe just a quarter teaspoon. And again, then while you're exercising, especially if you're exercising for more than an hour or more, maybe you're going for a long run or a tempo run or a ruck, for every hour that you're out there, drink fluid as well, bring it with you. 16 to 32 ounces per hour of your endurance or aerobic exercise. Now, if it's under hour, let's say you're just doing strength training for 30 minutes, you don't necessarily have to drink doing the strength training unless you're like just, very thirsty or in a hot, humid environment. For nutrition, 3 to 4 grams of carbs per pound or body weight per day. That should be on a daily, eating enough carbs. And then enough protein, 0.65 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. And then during, endurance type workouts, long runs, rucks, bikes, or swims that are over like an hour and a half, you want to have like 30 to 60 grams of carbs every hour. You can split that up during the hours, like every 20, 30 minutes, you're having some sipping, chewing on some gels, drinking some fluid or a sports drink that already has the carbs in it. And then the electrolytes, either electrolyte powder or the sea salt, right? The quarter teaspoon or half teaspoon of sea salt as well per hour to help you stay hydrated. If you don't want to, if you hate the taste of like plain salt, you can also do these electrolyte powders, things like Element. I'm actually a fan of Redmond's Red Light electrolyte powder, but then there's so many different brands out there. But I still think that I personally don't mind the taste of just pure sea salt as well. So I also just do like Redmond sea salt, or Redmond real salt, excuse me. But there's different types of salt. Himalayan pink sea salt's another option as well. But again, just pick whatever your preferences are and what works for you, and test it out as well. Especially if you're going to be, testing yourself on the 5-mile run, test out the fuel you plan to be using before your time trial event, so you don't like have gut issues when you go out there. And then, with the fueling, maybe 30 minutes before your run, you have the fuel. And then if it's a long run, right, more than an hour and a half, then during the run, you're consuming the fluid and the electrolytes or eating the gels or the snacks or whatnot. So I always tell my clients, you wouldn't go into battle on an empty stomach, so don't train that way either. So I want to share a story. When I was training my brother, who's in the Army, like I encouraged him to build up his fitness, right? Even though he wasn't planning to go into a ranger selection, I told him, hey, you should train like you are because it's going to help carry over to your job and just build up your confidence in other areas of your life, right? We built up his strength, cleaned up his nutrition, and structured his run workouts with a purpose. And then he crushed his 5 mile run time. He ran it in sub 35 minutes and he dominated his unit's fitness tests, got different awards. His CEOs took notice. He earned awards, got promoted. But that confidence spilled over into area of life, not just fitness, right? So the lesson, don't just settle for the minimum standards. Strive for your peak. Strive for excellence. And if you're a veteran who wants to train smarter, rebuild strength, and run faster without breaking your body, I created free training just for you. Check out the link in the description to start your reset today. So don't let age or injury define your limits. It's time to get back in the fight.